Here I am, Timeless Obsession, the year end finale. Fantastic. I love it. I'm just checking that everything is going well, and I already see a little bit of a situation over here in the back. You want to do everything right, but not everything moves how you want it to, when everything is always so perfectly organized. So while I'm getting myself situated, and some folks starting to come in to the stream right over here, because I'm going to take my sweet time today. I'm going to slow everything down. Because, like I said, this is the year end finale. And I'm also going to explain why. Why do I do this? Why timeless obsession? Why these conversations? Why not just keep it a little bit more airy, a little bit more entertaining, a little lighter, lighthearted, a little bit more smiling, because people kind of know me a little bit more from the smiles. Why all of this? And I want to answer all of that as honestly as possible. Well, first of all, because it's important and it's not about ego, it's not about drama, and it's absolutely not about pretending that I have figured it all out, because I haven't. Far from it. But I know one thing. I didn't start Timeless Obsession, the live streams, the clips, and everything like that because I think I'm better than anyone. I didn't start it because pretending that I have all the answers. And I didn't start it to tell people how to live their lives. I started because I kept seeing the same thing over and over and over again. Good people, capable people, strong people, lost, disconnected, overwhelmed, burned out, reactive, just drifting in life. Not because they're weak. It has nothing to do with weak. People that know me, they say, well, Dean, you always call everyone weak. We're a weak generation. We're a weak society and all that kind of stuff. No, it's not because the people are necessarily weak, but it's because the world is so noisy, so saturated, so overwhelmed, and it's pulling people down. It's pulling people out of their awareness where they actually should be. And at a certain point, I could not stay quiet anymore. So the most honest answer that I can give you is the following. I do this because I want the world to become a better place. Not in the savior kind of way or look at me kind of way. No, practical. Actually, a better world. People more grounded, more human, more responsible, calmer. Strong people are often calm people, men and women alike. Not all this loudness, not reactive, not offended or even divided, because that is the problem nowadays. Not in America only, everywhere in the world. And it is so, like I said, oversaturated because of social media, et cetera, et cetera. I care to make people stronger from the inside. And like I said, if I can contribute in the smallest, tiniest way possible, a conversation, a perspective, whatever, a moment of clarity, a little motivational push, whatever it may be, maybe just a smile. Great. Then it's worth it. One person, it does not matter. Then it's absolutely worth it. And it didn't come from like reading a book to going after some kind of like theory. This is the way to go about it, because everyone is right and everyone is wrong at the same time. There's no application where it fits for everyone. It doesn't work that way because we are all so unique. It came from living, and it came from getting things wrong most of the time. It came from sitting, from me personally, sitting at the wrong tables, from chasing things that did not fulfill me, from being, even me, being reactive instead of being reflective. I hope it makes sense to people. I sometimes go maybe a little bit too far, too deep into some conversation where it becomes a little bit too philosophical or spiritual, but it just becomes, or it came from learning the hard way, and that blaming the world never fixes anything in your life. And over time, I learned something. I wrote a couple things down over here, like I always do. I always have a preparation, and this one it took a little longer. I've actually prepped this for a week or two straight, and it's a little combination of things that I talked about. Most people are not struggling because life is impossible. They're struggling because they're disconnected. Just earlier, I had a client, and I understand, I get it. Surviving. Sometimes it's surviving, especially now with the holidays. It should be all so magical and the Christmas spirit and everything is in the air, or Hanukkah, or whatever you're celebrating. It doesn't matter. But it's really about getting together and being a little bit more aware again. People are disconnected from their purpose, from their perspective, from their responsibility, from passion. And when people get disconnected from within, from their soul, the outside gets disconnected from them. Everything becomes so personal. Everyone's so triggered. Everything is political. Everything is like, oh, it's them. It's not me. No, 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 no. It is you. You are the problem. And that is something I'm going to bring up later again. That's the biggest question, or the sentence that you should, a question you should ask yourself. So, but first, this episode is kind of like stepping on the brake for a little bit. It's taking a pause, a reset. The year-end special, you could call it, whatever. I don't care. I don't care for labels anymore, but it's more of a moment to be honest, to cut through the bullshit. And if that triggers people, so be it. Again, it is your problem and not mine. But one thing that's true, a trigger more often reveals some truth about you. It reveals particular information that is very, very useful. Now, let's chat about the thing that's really going on right now. You feel it. Everyone feels it. I feel it. People are tense. People are defensive. I think that's very clear. Everyone likes to get into an argument and feels like they are getting into an argument. Everything is like an attack. Everything is like on the edge over here. And then instead of asking why, people just suddenly pick sides and start blaming one or another. And it doesn't matter which side you are on of the conversation. It's time to slow down and first understand it. So I talked about being triggered, and I got some backlash. Let me tell you, absolutely. But the truth is, being triggered does not mean someone did something to you. It means something from the outside to touch something from the inside. That's what we covered. That's it. It is absolutely it. Nothing more, nothing less. Someone says something, your mood shifts, your body reacts, boom, thoughts spiraling all the way through. The reaction did not come from them. It came from you. It's very simple. 10 people hear the same comment, 9 do not care, 1 completely loses their mind. Same words, different reaction. So triggers don't live in words. They live in the listener and the emotion of the listener. And how do you fix it? It doesn't make you bad. I mean, it doesn't make you broken. It's okay, but there's no need for this emotional response, because the only person suffering is the person that is allegedly triggered. And that is something that I also wish to, I don't want to say fix, but maybe there's some people that can just get less triggered from time to time. But it means something basically, and we see this in psychology a little bit more. It means that something's there that has not been handled yet. It has not been taken care of yet. It has not been, looked within you yet. It's not, again, a trigger is not your enemy. It's not, it's more often a friend or something positive that it's revealing something that you need to kind of like work on. So it shows you basically exactly, almost with a magnifying glass, what needs to be worked on and where the growth is required. And this is the part where I wanted to get to. This is the sentence that most people avoid. It's not them, it is me. This is where responsibility comes into your life. It's not self-blame, it's ownership. Self-blame is it's not even that. It's usually this victim mentality. And a lot of narcissists actually use this victim mentality. People say a narcissist is basically someone who is full of themselves, but in fact, it's quite the opposite. It's this entitlement and victim mentality of someone. And it's a lot of times triggered people with a quick emotional reaction. And a lot of folks don't realize this. They put some kind of political person at the front of the narcissism stage, but it's quite the opposite. It's often sometimes someone that's a little bit closer and has a more emotional reaction, and it might be your spouse, it might be your kids, it might be one of your close friends, and they don't realize it, but that they are the actual biggest narcissist because they're always such a victim. So whatever. That's maybe something for another time where we're going to get a little bit more into that part, because narcissism is very real, but the definition of it is quite misunderstood, I believe, by some people. So I have an example over here. Two people get criticized. One says, they don't respect me. The other asks, why did that hit me so hard? It's the glass half full or the glass half empty. You always have a choice that you can make, but it's the same situation with a very different outcome. It's basically how you look at the world at a certain point. But one is very clear. One, blame removes power. Ownership gives you back that power. The moment you stop, the expectations of the world to behave so perfectly, you will stop being disappointed all the time. You don't need to play this victimhood role anymore. Life gets a lot more chill, not because your whole life changes, just because you finally start taking charge. So, why does it feel? This is the question that I wrote down. Why does it feel like everyone is triggered right now or getting so triggered? Why? It's very simple. It is so simple. I see this literally in the last 2 weeks. One little comment, everything is positive, a negative comment, boom, trigger, reaction, chaos. It's about likes, it's about comments, it's about views, it's about approval, it's about validation, society, outrage. People have learned to measure their worth by how others react to them. It is disgusting. I'm absolutely disgusted by that. Why? Because it's not honest. Who cares to get validation by a random stranger? Help them, but don't seek approval. That is silly. It is really silly, because you measure your own worth by how someone else reacts to you. And at a certain point, you get triggered by some little negative comment. Then you suddenly feel that a disagreement feels like disrespect. Oh, they're disrespecting me. No, they don't. Criticism feels like an attack because it's someone like that you don't agree with or you're not on the same page with. At a certain point, it's this chaos that comes running down. Different opinions feel very dangerous, but they shouldn't be. Different opinions are technically very, very healthy. But it's not because these things are true. No, it's because your identity just became super fragile. That is the truth. And people do not want to admit this. They do not possess the power and responsibility to look themselves in the mirror and acknowledge this. Social media didn't create weakness, it exposed weakness. Social media is just doing its own thing, but the exposure of all these people that need this validation is, it's insane how it really like went about. But this is the sentence that I wrote down. This is the one that it's all about. When your value depends on applause, you cannot survive disagreement. I read this somewhere from I don't know who it is right now. I would love to give credit, but from some motivational speaker, book writer, or anything like that. But when your value depends on applause, you cannot survive disagreement. And boom, what happened? Politics, gasoline. Gasoline poured on top of this, and it became an absolute dumpster fire, you could call it. Before, politics used to be about ideas, debates, trade-offs. Now, warfare, identity warfare. It's ridiculous. You're not allowed to disagree. If you do, labeled. I feel that's kind of like taking a back seat, just like all the other nonsense at times. But people used to blend these beliefs with self-worth. So if you challenge someone's belief, you're attacking who they are, basically. Well, Some people can hold strong beliefs without turning them into their personality. That is absolutely crazy. You don't need to have your personality ran by your beliefs. Weak people need agreement to feel safe. I don't need to agree with anyone. I don't care if you disagree with me. When 1,000 people go one way, I go the other way. And it served me pretty well. Have I failed? Yes, many times over. And I will likely fail again, but I will always stand behind my own choices and my own thoughts. I believe that is one of the most important things for a person to do, to have this character, to have a strong personality trait. The woke culture did not start evil. It started with empathy. I don't like empathy. I will never understand it because I cannot walk in someone else's shoes. I have sympathy. Empathy, I don't necessarily trust. It shifted into protecting people in from discomfort. I talked about this a little while ago. I have a little text over here from a little summary of one of the episodes that I talked about, and a little bit is this woke culture, but it shifted into protecting people from discomfort instead of preparing them for reality, and that's where things absolutely broke down. It came down crumbling, and it's very hard to build a society like that back up again. Real life does not come with warnings. You have all these kids with helicopter parents, and these children will not have a strong spine when they turn 18 or 25, when they get thrown into the real world. Markets don't care, deadlines don't care, pressure does not care. Discomfort is not some sort of trauma, and offense is not dangerous, challenge is not abuse. You need resistance in your life if you desire to grow. And in my opinion, it's not only about the desire to grow as a person, as a young adult into an adult, et cetera, et cetera. It is something that must happen. Standing still is the absolute worst part one can imagine. But the uncomfortable part over here is, and the sad reality is, and I think many people can actually agree with this, weakness is being rewarded. Victimhood pays. It's ridiculous. Outrage, clicks, likes, views, anger gets views. What is it? Fragility gets support, protection. So people start performing weakness. Strong people don't need sympathy or anything like that. That's okay. They seek solutions, how to get better. That is why I stand and I'm all for positivity. And what is positivity? That's not this fake vibes or good vibes only fakeness. No, no, no. It's going through an absolute terrible time in your life, but knowing you will come out better from it. That is absolute positivity. Knowing that there's light at the end of the tunnel, no matter what the challenges are. Strong societies over thousands and thousands of years have been built by capable individuals, not by people who have been offended all the time. So that is one of the reasons why everything feels like an absolute attack and why people feel offended, because a weak identity, a weak persona, a weak character always has to prove and needs to be in this defensive mode. When you don't understand, when you don't know who you are, yeah, everything does feel personal. That is true. I wrote another thing down over here. I'm just going to bring it back. Strong people don't need agreement to feel safe. Weak people do. Triggers are symptoms, not causes. It's a great line. I copy stuff now that I like, certain sentences, and I write them down. I have a little notebook full of it. It is absolutely inspiring, but I wish people would actually act upon these things. Because the problem is, and I've said this many times in our society, it's mainly the men. And I got a lot of backlash for that. Dean, this is not actually like, no, 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 no. Hold on. Let's take a step back. Recently, I was at a dinner. There was a nice organization, and I can tell you one thing: between men that have a little bit of a like-minded mindset there's a silent brotherhood. Absolutely, without a doubt. But this one goes to all the guys, this week alone, clients, friends, acquaintances, etc. I heard the same thing again, and again. Tired, alone, depressed, surviving. How is this going to continue, et cetera, et cetera? I get it. Responsibility is very heavy. Providing is heavy. And being strong for everyone, because that is a job of a man, is heavy. But here's the truth that, oops, there we go. I don't know what this is. It's not a pretty face, but we're going to swap it real quick. There we go. And here we're back. It's just one of those things. Nice, beautiful screenshot. Anyways, there's a truth that we cannot avoid. Men were not built to just survive. They were built for purpose, to create and to carry weight with purpose. Most men are not depressed because their life is meaningless. They're depressed because their life has no direction. Wake the fuck up. You work, scroll, numb out, repeat. When you live without passion, no wonder you're not living. You are just existing, and it will eat you up alive. Find something. Find the tiniest little fire within yourself, because otherwise it's the same freaking stories that I've heard for the last week, the last month, or maybe even the last 10 years. It's the same story over and over and over again. Wake up, eat, sleep, repeat. Same thing over. What are you in this rat race over here? What are you, a hamster? It will eat you up. Everyone, even Dwayne Johnson had a video where he's suddenly all skinny. I don't know what happened to him. He's definitely not The Rock anymore. He looks more like the Pebble. But even he suddenly, in his bubble from fame and everything like that, realized everyone is going through something. Every single person. And that was like, I had this empathy. Well, yes, suddenly, dude, you woke up. I get it. You came from tough beginnings, but along the way, you lost track. The problem is we stopped seeing each other. A weak society creates lost men, and men without purpose become reactive. They become weak little pussies, numb, empty, without anything. And the solution is very simple. It's direction, mission, pursuit, passion. That is going to bring you forward. Train your body, build something, train your mind, chase something that's meaningful. That is not ego. Anyone telling you it's like, oh, you're such a this or that, I don't even know what label people could give anymore. It's life. And that is where the gym comes in. Every man should work the iron. No matter how, no matter what, no matter how strong, whatever. But the iron is the only thing in the planet that keeps it real. The barbell does not care how you feel. It doesn't care about your emotions, your excuses, your mental health, or anything like that. Whatever it is, you lift the weight or you don't lift the weight. You have the choice, but you know how you feel afterwards already before even doing one exercise. In a world filled with lies, there's only one truth, and that is the gym, that is the barbell, that is the iron. And the iron always tells the truth. It's not about muscles. It's not about being a bodybuilder or being the best at this or that. It is about integrity, and people do not have it nowadays anymore. The world is full of soulless, weak people in that regard. You say you'll show up, then actually do it. You say you'll push, then push. In the last 10 years, people have talked a lot more and no actions have followed. What happened? What happened? Men who train regularly are much calmer, more grounded, a lot harder to trigger. Why? Why, you ask? It's very, very simple, because they already started the day with resistance. Maybe the morning, maybe the evening. They come home, they go do the gym first, so they don't come home and blow everything on their wives and their spouses. Your job when you come home is to be a sponge and take it all in. Why? Why? Because you have a worried lady, maybe about a couple things about herself already. So you're there. You're going to put all your shit on her? Now you have two worried minds. Now your wife is worried about two people as well. That is crazy. Shut up, do the work, call it a day. Zoom out. Zoom out for a second. Ask the question, why does life do all of this to us? Why? Because life applies pressure where pressure is needed. People ask the question, why me? Why me? You're the chosen one. It's a privilege to go through these difficult times. Failure is the best thing in your life. It builds skill. It is. I had to learn it the hard way. Loss builds perspective, and pressure, everything that life gives you, basically, it builds character. It's very, very, very simple, but it only feels unfair. It only feels unfair only when you expect life to be comfortable. And that is why it's so important to be uncomfortable. And when you're going through a hard time, get even more uncomfortable. Let the weight of the world completely crumble you. You'll at a certain point become more creative. You'll find a way to go through it. And this is why I always say, I have it over there in the corner. Life is a gift. And I'm not trying to praise religion. I'm not trying to praise spirituality or anything like that, but it's just very simple and straightforward. Life is a gift, not a safe space, not because it's that. Because overall, most folks who watch this video live better than like most of people in all over the world or in the past in humanity, in human history. Clean water, bed, medicine, freedom, options, anything, all of that. But that is why we get offended by the tiniest little things. And gratitude, the gift of life, it fixes all of that. It's once you really start appreciating how rare life really is, at a certain point, all this nonsense, all this shit that really doesn't matter, it stops bothering you. And you start becoming a little bit more strict with certain boundaries, etc. Because all this perspective, all of that, it creates resilience. It's quite simple once you have actually gone through some little of the hardship that life gives you, that it brings you, that the privilege is to go through that. Because again, people don't trigger you, politics don't trigger you, culture, society, it does not trigger you. The parts in your body, in your mind, in your heart that are unresolved, they trigger you. That is the ultimate truth. And once you start breaking those things down and work on those things, you will not be triggered anymore. That's the good news. It is one truth, and it means that you're not powerless. You have the power to work on it. It's a privilege. It is a responsibility. Like I said, life is a gift. Don't treat it with neglect. Treat it with the absolute best care that you can. And that is one of the reasons why Timeless Obsession exists, why I've started this. And I hope to push folks. I hope to relay a message in whatever way possible. And Timeless Obsession is there to build people up, to bring them into a more positive mindset. But it's there for people who don't crumble under pressure. It's not necessarily for the weakling. You have to work on that yourself, and you are responsible for your own shit. If this made you uncomfortable, cool, great. Sit with it. Something landed like in the right place. Reflect on that. Why did Dean's speech make you uncomfortable? What is it that he said that made you kind of like shift, in your chair or whatever it may be? If something challenged you, great, grow from it. That is, in my opinion, how you close down this year, how you close down the year strong. That's how you step into 2026 ready to go. I believe that there's still time. December, we're now in the middle of it, a little past the middle. There's 2 more weeks until January 1st has its first sunrise, 2026. I believe strongly that you can achieve one more little thing if you put your mind to it. If you have to believe, if you have the desire, if you have the absolute willpower, resilience, and the ambition to make something happen, it will happen. You don't need to have some crazy dream, build a company that is maybe worth multi-millions of dollars, it will likely not happen in 2 weeks, but change something that you can actually move within your two hands. You were too lazy to go to the gym, go to the gym one extra time, run a little bit faster, prepare yourself for January. Don't be one of those resolutioners, but just kick yourself in the ass and create a positive lifestyle. This is the last episode for 2025. 2026, I already know, will be absolutely spectacular. There's a few things being built upon for the future of timeless obsession. Uh, Personally, professionally, I think it's very exciting. Can't share too much about it. I don't want to share too much about it. I will only show you when things are absolutely finalized. I will do one thing. I will keep working the hardest that I can to make the world, in some way possible, in the smallest way or the biggest way possible, a better place. And when we collectively put our best minds, our most positive way forward, I think we're all going to be smiling at the end. Enjoy and Happy New Year.